In the hope of putting new life into the romance, he bought a house, Falcon Lair. He gave Natasha a free hand with the interior design. But Natasha never spent a night in the place. To conceal the broken marriage, they went in front of the newsreel cameras and played a farewell scene. Natasha was going east to make a film on her own. They would never live together again. Valentino signed with the United Artists to make The Eagle with Vilma Banky for producer Joseph Schenck. Directed by Clarence Brown, it proved far more successful than the films Natasha had supervised. Valentino played a Russian bandit married in the death cell before being led out to die. Valentino began a romance with Pola Negri. He spent money recklessly. His friends asked why. "I have a hunch," he said, "that it won't make a damn bit of difference." He drove recklessly. He had several near-fatal crashes. Natasha sued for divorce. He became more and more depressed. To ease his money problems, he determined to make a surefire hit, a sequel to The Sheik, and was delighted to have an old friend, George Fitzmaurice, as director. Fitzmaurice had a sophisticated understanding of Valentino's appeal. Valentino's influence on men's fashions encouraged the wearing of wristwatches and slave bracelets. And when a powder machine appeared in a men's washroom, the Chicago Tribune blamed it on Valentino. Why didn't someone quietly drown Rudolph Guglielmo, alias Valentino, years ago?
Well, it was very unjust. Valentino was an extremely manly man and could probably have taken most of them if it came to having a good fight, you know. He was a fine swordsman, good fencer, and there was nothing of the powder puff about him. This one particular thing really made Valentino go quite stark mad. He resented it just terribly, and he said to me, "This isn't fair. It is not fair. I mean, I have none of those attributes. I'm a man. I've always shown it. I have been madly in love with only one woman, but I've always been in love with her. And to make belittling pink powder puff remarks is a very unjust thing. And if the guy will come out here, I will tangle with him face to face."
The man never appeared. Valentino staged an exhibition bout under the eye of Jack Dempsey. The pressures on him were enormous. Fighting his divorce, facing bankruptcy, coping with a gastric ulcer, and now fending off attacks in the press. A few days later, he fell ill and was rushed to hospital.
They didn't want to take any responsibility of making an operation of Rudolph Valentino. So they were waiting for some big surgeon, well-known surgeon, experienced surgeon, to come along. But being on Sunday, they couldn't find anybody until 6 o'clock.
Precious hours were wasted while the fever mounted. When the surgeon was found, he discovered a perforated ulcer.
The first 2 or 3 days after operation was getting better. All of a sudden, he had to turn for the worse because the peritonitis developed and was the one who killed him.
Valentino lay in state at Campbell's funeral parlor.
A great many of them really had a lot of feeling and affection for Valentino. So it was a crowd filled with emotion and with hysterical emotion that you weren't at all sure what they might do. Hysterical crowds behave badly at funerals.
7 days later, the funeral. Ben Lyon took charge.
I received word one day at the Ambassador Hotel in New York from the florist in the lobby that they had a phone order from Miss Pulver Negri to place a blanket of white roses across the top of the casket 6 feet before, and in the center in 1 foot letters in red roses, P-O-L-A, Pola. Well, let's make it look like an opening night for her, a premiere or something. I said, under no circumstances will those flowers be placed on that casket. And they weren't, and of course she was furious and put up a terrific fight, and I said, they're not going on. And the whole thing turned out to be, if you remember, that she fainted and fell down and had to be carried. It was a premiere for Pola Negri.
Among the pallbearers were Adolf Zukor, Marcus Lowe, Rex Ingram, Douglas Fairbanks, and Joseph Schenck. Natasha Rambova did not appear. There was to be a second funeral in Hollywood. Alberto Valentino joined the train for the 5-day journey.
Cross country, and it was amazing. You can't believe me, but it's true that to see the people that they came and the way in which they were trying to show their shock and their affection for. Well, I was awake early in the morning because it was just dawn. The train stopped, and I was informed that was a group of people from Erie which had come with guitar, mandolin. The great majority were Italian, living here in this country. And they just asked me permission if they could sing and play some of the Italian song for the memory of Rudolph. It was very touching.
It was the biggest funeral Hollywood had ever seen. At the Church of the Good Shepherd in Beverly Hills, stars like Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks paid their last respects.